y'all, it's me, Lisa. Welcome to my channel, She Raven. On my channel, I talk about true crime, spooky, paranormal, just anything that comes to mind. I'm also a mental health advocate, so I do motivational videos on mental health and just empowering people to be themselves. I have not been here for a minute. Yeah, probably more than a minute. So I'm gonna get right back into the swing. This right here is actually Christmas vacation for the kids. So hopefully I can get in this office and do a couple of videos, maybe, here and there. I have a number in my head, but I'm not going to say that number out loud just in case I can't get to it. So if you're interested in just spending a couple hours with me, just a crazy mom, just go ahead and like and subscribe. I'd love that. And whenever I'm on, I'd love to have you come. I'd love to have you spend a couple minutes and us just kind of hang out and just, talk about whatever's on my mind. So with that, I've got my kids downstairs and hopefully they'll stay quiet while I go ahead and do this. That's how it is with kids, anytime you're doing something, they're just like blah 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 blah, or they're really loud or something else. I don't know. We'll see. So this is not, well, it's sort of Christmas week because it's Sunday and Christmas is next Sunday. So it's a week. And I don't really have any Christmas true crime, but I'm actually working on that. So I have to, before December is out, I have to get that in your head, Lisa, do a Christmas themed either spooky story or true crime or something of that nature. But I do have my book, my book that I love. I have not finished this. I know I really was talking about this book during the Halloween season, and there's still so many really cute semi-spooky stories in here. It's called Spooky Texas. I have not finished it. I just want to go ahead and read a quick story from this. So let's go ahead and let's get right into that. Yeah, this is going to be a crazy week for me too, because I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the kids. The kids have 2 weeks off of school, so that's fun for them. Fun for them, but for me, Oh goodness. Okay, so I've read to you guys in some of my previous episodes from this book. You can actually go back if you want and you want to hear, if you're just kind of relaxing and you just want to hear someone reading to you. Go back and listen to those. And these are really short stories. They're not terribly scary. They're not on my level of ooh kind of scary, but I love it. I love anything scary. It doesn't matter what it is to me. I'm there for it. I'm that kid, and I'll explain this maybe in another podcast, but I'm that kid that would go to summer camp every summer and listen to all the kids talk about all their spooky stuff like Bloody Mary and Candyman, believe it or not. Just all the scary stories. And I grew up in a really religious family, so I wasn't able to watch things like Freddy Krueger and things of that nature. So once I could, I OD'd on it. I completely OD'd on it. But yeah, so this is a fun book, and I'm going to get through all the stories in this book at different times. I'm not going to like boggle anyone down with it. So anyways, this is my Spooky Texas book. I bought it locally. Let's go ahead and let's get into it. It centers around each city, but I haven't been able to find like a connection, like a real serious connection with all the different cities and the actual stories. So that's something like the one I'm reading right now. I was kind of trying to Google to see if I had any background information, and I really couldn't. So I'm thinking it's just mainly cities. And let's see. I'm going to take a second and see. Yeah, it just says Texas folklore traditions are kept alive in these expert reading or retellings. So who knows? Maybe these are just, folklore stories. I'm not originally from Texas, so I'm originally from Florida, and that'd be a really good idea for me, actually, to get a Florida book also. That would be lots and lots and lots of fun. So the story that I'm going to read today, remember these are just short stories, is going to be White Wolf. And this one right here took place in Elroy. So since I couldn't find any specific information, I'm just going to say a little bit about Elroy because that's what I did with some of the other cities that the stories took place in. Elroy, Texas is a small unincorporated community 12 miles south of Austin in southeastern Travis County, Texas, which is in the United States. General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna gave modern day Elroy to a loyal officer who swapped it for a horse and saddle to return to Mexico. Yeah. In 2010, the population was 331. Now, I did see something that said 2020, I think the population was like 125. I sort of find that hard to believe because it's so close to Austin. And if you know anything about Texas, which you probably don't, but if you know anything about Texas, Austin is fab. Oh my gosh, Austin is fantastic. I can imagine any small city going from a population of 300, a little over 300, to under 100. So I'm thinking that that's probably not right. But some of the little communities, they have large plots of land because they're much older, and one family sometimes is on a couple acres of land. But again, being so close to Austin, and Austin is now becoming one of the larger meccas in the United States, I find that hard to believe that it's still stagnant. I would say that it's probably grown significantly because the home prices in Austin alone are astronomical. It's insane. Austin is though the live music capital of the world, and I know that. Besides also, the state capital. And I know that little bit of information because I pen pal a lot. So I've got these pen pals all over the world, and a lot of times when I'm new to being that particular pen pal, I will give them some fast facts about Texas. And usually being the live capital of the world is one of those. Austin being, the state capital. And then there are just some other things about Houston. I try to include Houston, even though I'm not in the Houston area. I am very, very close. So I'm on the suburbs of Houston. So I just include those areas. But I love Austin. I would assume that this little teeny town has sort of built itself up a little bit, especially right now. Texas has gone through a huge, huge real estate boom, and just people coming here from all different states because of the home prices. And even though the home prices have gone up significantly, we are still now in a moderate home pricing, home pricing environment, I guess you can say, compared to the rest of the United States. And what keeps us at that even level is the fact that our prices are really great, and we are oil country. Texas is an oil state. And because of that, our oil prices are usually lower than the national average, but our job market is up here because, you've got people coming from all over the world to work here because of the oil industry. So yeah, just some information. And I had an associate before who was telling me about the oil industry because she's an engineer. And she was just telling me one time years ago, all the things that oil is a part of. And we were just sort of talking, and she was just saying, because at that time the oil prices had gone down and a lot of people were losing their jobs. Those oil workers are contract workers. And like I said, the job market is booming. So if you're thinking, where do I want to live where it's, semi-affordable and I know I can have a job, this is really the market. I would look into it and really, really research it. It's Houston was like the fourth largest. I'm not sure if it's still the fourth largest in the United States. I'd probably have to take a look and see, but we're up there. That's the point I'm making. We're up there with the recent boom of people coming here for the job market, the oil market. the housing market, just you name it, and they are here for it. We're still up there, and I don't foresee at any point in time any of the any of certain Texas cities going below. So I know there's a lot of oil in all of Texas. Texas is huge. Texas is one of those cities where if you're taking a road trip, you can go from one end to the other and still not be out of Texas in about 10 hours. You can drive from morning until dark and you're still in Texas. That's how big Texas is. But yeah, just check Texas out. It's fantastic. There's a bunch of amazing things here. I've been all over the place, and I love the state. I love the housing market. I love the people. It's very diverse. Of course, it's so big. There are places where the diversity is not there. There are places that are not as booming as the bigger cities, but like if you're looking at like Houston and surrounding areas, San Antonio surrounding areas, Austin surrounding areas, Dallas surrounding areas, you're going to be fine. I mean, you really are. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic place to live. But anyways, enough about that. Let's go ahead and get into the book, my little book. But I love that idea of getting a spooky story book for Florida. But I want some spooky stories. I want some really scary, ooh, kind of stories. Okay, so that's a little bit about Elroy. And like I said, it's right there next to Austin, so it's awesome. White Wolf. Let me calm myself. She snapped awake suddenly, out of a deep sleep, every muscle tense, ears straining. What had she heard? Something was out of place, and the thought terrified her. She kept very still, barely breathing, as she listened for the sound that had alarmed her. The house was silent. There was not even the soft sigh of the wind against the weathered boards of the farmhouse. Then it came again. Sniff, sniff, sniff. A quick snuffling sounded down the hall near the front staircase. Pad, pad, click, click. It sounded like the paws of a giant creature. Pant, pant, pant. Soft sounds, menacing sounds. Some animal, a large animal, was in the house with her. Hide, hide. The instinct screamed at her to burrow under the covers, slide under the bed, tuck herself into the closet, find somewhere safe to hide. Electricity streamed through every nerve, making her body sing with awareness and tense fear. But her mind ran quicker. Even then, the lightning shafts tensed her body for action. If she stayed in this room, she would be trapped with the creature. There was nothing to fight it with. Tennis rackets, baseball bats, old lengths of pipe. These were all out in the shed. Not in her far too pristine bedroom. Not in her far too pristine bedroom with its pink ruffled femininity and display of stuffed animals still proudly sitting on a shelf over the desk. Pant, pant, pant. Click, click. The creature was getting closer now, stalking her. Its breath came faster as it approached. An instinct told her that when it found her, it would kill her. It had smelled her. It knew she was here, alone in the large house, while her parents lingered long over their anniversary dinner. Before her conscious mind connected with a thought, her body had already slipped out of bed, her nightdress fluttering around her as she sped through the connecting bathroom, out the door at the far end of the hall, and down the back staircase. She heard a soft growl and the sound of animal feet pursuing her as she raced down the steps so fast she almost fell, leaping over the last four. She sank nearly to her knees at the impact with the kitchen floor. Then terror led her past the cupboards with their two dull butter knives to the back door. She fumbled with the handle, her straining eyes glancing in the glass of the windows for a horrible, curious moment to see what it was that was stalking her. She caught a glimpse of a maddening red eye over a narrow white snout, pricked ears, and white speed. A wolf, a giant wolf. The door swung open and she was through, but it was caught before it latched by the body of the beast. Then she was running through the cool, dark autumn night. Get to the tool shed, her brain screamed. Get a baseball bat, a tennis racket, something to hit it with. But her feet were already skidding to a halt, changing direction as soon as she had come into view. It was padlocked. Her father had decided to lock it this night of all nights, since a rash of petty thievery had overtaken their neighborhood. Her legs were even faster than her conscious mind, which was so numb with terror that she couldn't keep up. They had turned her body, and she was racing away around the house. The terrifying, almost silent sound of the creature's pounding feet and panting breath loud in her ears. The shivering of her spine told her that it was close behind. Almost, she could feel the hot, humid touch of its breath on her body as she ran. Faster, faster, she commanded her legs, gasping desperately against the fear choking her, against the stitch forming in her side. Run around the house and down the driveway, over to the neighbor's house. She turned the third corner of her house and realized she'd never make it across the street in time. The wolf was too close. Perhaps she could run back inside and lock the creature out. But how could she keep it out when she had no idea how the white wolf had gotten inside? And the creature was gaining on her. She felt it snap at her back leg, felt the sting of teeth scraping calf muscles, and put on speed. Around one more corner to the front of the house. Then it veered away from her suddenly, and her heart pounded with hope. Maybe it had heard her parents' car. She kept running around the last corner to the front of the house, past the rickety old well house that her father always promised to tear down and never did. The wolf was there, springing upon her from the top of the well house, teeth ripping, tearing out her throat in a single brutal moment. Her mind screamed in shock, but she had no voice left to echo the horror drumming through every cell in her body as her brain functions dulled. She felt her body thud to the ground, borne down by the weight of the white wolf, but the impact did not register, nor did the continuous tearing of its teeth against skin and muscle and bone. It was eating her. Blackness fell across her vision, but she had no voice left to scream. She woke suddenly, as her shoulder was shaken by trembling hands. She looked up into the frightened face of her mother and her father hovering just behind. "Cecilia, what's wrong, honey? Did you have a bad dream?" Cecilia leapt into her mother's arms, sobbing incoherently about a wolf and no throat and the old well house. Her mother couldn't catch the whole story, nor did she try. She just soothed Cecilia, and her father got her a hot drink. Finally, she went back to sleep, reassured, because it had only been a dream after all, and her parents were sleeping in their bedroom down the hall. Everything was completely normal the next day, her parents' anniversary. Breakfast was normal. School was normal. Though her friends remarked upon her paleness and tendency to grasp and jump at the least noise, and the ride home from school on her bike was normal. All was well until the moment her mother reminded Cecilia over milk and cookies that she and Cecilia's father would be going out that night again to celebrate their anniversary. Cecilia turned milk white. In her dream, the white wolf had come to kill her while her parents were out celebrating their anniversary. She started shaking, and to her own shame, heard herself begging almost hysterically for her mother not to go. Cecilia's mother was impatient with this childish behavior. After all, Cecilia was 16, not a baby. She had her parents' cell phone number, and the neighbors were nearby. She had been left alone many times before, and even babysat for the neighbors' children. Cecilia allowed herself to be shamed into staying home that night, alone, in the big house that had never frightened her before. But she had never had such a dream before either. The thought of the coming of the white wolf terrified her. She locked herself in the house as soon as her parents left, checking every door, every window, carrying her father's old baseball bat with her for protection. She knew it was silly, but she kept looking out the windows, trying to see if it was coming. Once she caught a glimpse of white, and her heart almost stopped in terror until she realized it was the reflection of her own face in the window. She laughed shakenly and went up to bed. Just before she turned off the light, she set the baseball bat carefully against the foot of her bed, where she could easily reach it. Then she rolled over to sleep. As dark fog descended over her mind, she ignored the small thumping and bumping sounds the baseball bat made as it fell to the floor and rolled under her bed. She snapped awake suddenly out of a deep sleep, every muscle tense, ears straining. Then she heard the tinkling of falling glass from a broken window and the snuffling sound of a snout pressed to the door. Pad, pad, pad went large feet as they negotiated the stairs. It was the sound of a hunting wolf. Werewolf, her treacherous mind corrected her in a calm, clinical way. It was a werewolf. Real wolves do not break into houses when there was plenty of game outside for them to eat. She could hear the clicking click of the creature's claws on the wooden floor. The musky, foul smell of wet animal fur combined with the meaty breath of a carnivore drifted faintly into the room, making her gag. But she was ready this time. The dream of the previous night had warned her. Trying to stay calm, she reached for the baseball bat at the foot of her bed. Her fingers grasped empty air, and she felt the first seeds of panic grip her. For a moment, she felt the blood thundering in her veins, felt her skin go clammy with fear. Where was the baseball bat? She could hear the wolf's panting breath right outside her bedroom. Dimly see the door handle turning as the clever creature pawed at it. The stench of meat breath and animal sweat filled the room. She felt panic grip her. Remembering suddenly the thud of the falling bat as she fell asleep, there was no time to search for it now. No time. Her body was already out of bed. night dress fluttering around her as she sped once again through the bathroom and down the back stairs. She heard a soft growl and then the sound of animal feet pursuing her as she raced down the steps, nearly collapsing onto the kitchen floor as she tore open the back door. A glance at the window beside her showed a reflection of the werewolf leaping down the last few steps behind her. Then cool autumn air smacked against her face, her bare legs, her skin. Her feet screamed in protest as she ran painfully across the sharp gravel driveway towards the tool shed, and skidded to a halt a second time at the sight of the padlock. The huge red-eyed wolf was between her and the driveway now, stalking towards her with every hair on its white coat standing erect, forming a great white ridge running the length of its back. The cold wind pierced her skin, and she turned and fled around the side of the house. She gasped as the white wolf howled and took off after her. She could hear the terrifying sound of the creature's pounding feet and feel its hot, panting breath against her thin legs, exposed by her short nightgown. Faster, faster, she commanded her legs, gasping desperately against the fear choking her, against the stitch forming in her side. Run around the house and back down the driveway. She felt the wolf snap at her back leg, felt the sting of teeth, felt hot blood pouring down. She put on speed. Around one more corner to the front of the house. The wolf veered away from her suddenly, and she felt a rush of hope. But then she remembered the trap at the well house from her dream and whirled around to run back the other way, away from that trap. She couldn't hear the wolf now, couldn't see it in the clouded, darkened sky. She kept running, this time back towards the locked tool shed. To her intense relief, she saw headlights pulling into the bottom of the long driveway. Then her heart stopped in panic as the headlights illuminated the shape of the white wolf balanced on the porch railing right in front of her. It sprang on her, huge teeth tearing, ripping into her throat as she fell to the ground under the weight of its body in the pool of light created by the approaching car. So basically she had that was pretty good. Actually, I didn't expect that. So basically she had a premonition that that was going to happen, that she was going to be killed by this white wolf, and her parents didn't believe her, and they still went off and had their anniversary dinner. It's kind of crazy to me. I mean, I think I would have just taken my kids with me. I would have been like, okay, well, come on, guys, let's all go out to dinner. But that was a good one. So again, I'm gonna stop this one here. I don't want to make this video too long. It's just a little pop in. Haven't been in for a hot minute, or hot minutes. Again, if you want to kind of hang out next time, just for whatever I got going on, if you want to be notified, please like and subscribe. It helps me. Just kind of helps me on the ranking system. So I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.